All right. So, big introduction. Introduce yourself.
Yeah, my name is Judo. I'm 24 years old. I'm South Sudanese, and yeah, I've been here I basically grew up here. I've been here for the last 22 years. I came from Sudan, Khartoum. With my family, my mom, my dad, my sister, and yeah, just.
So, did you go from Khartoum straight to here, or did you go
I went to Khartoum to Egypt to here.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
So
familiar.
How old were you when you were in Egypt?
Probably like 1 year old.
Okay.
I done one, yeah. So one, and then bang, came here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love that. And before you and I were talking a little bit about sports, let's talk about sports. What's your favorite sport?
My favorite sport was football, AFL.
AFL.
Yeah.
And why? Why AFL?
You gotta be very intelligent to play AFL. You gotta know how to use your feet. You gotta know how to use your hands at the same time. So most people can't do that. Most people can only use their hands, or most people can only use their feet. So to have the skills to use both of them, you got to be a superstar.
How long have you been playing football for?
I've been playing football for, I could probably say, nearly, 12 years. Yeah, around 12 years. Yeah. I started actually now probably 15 years.
Yeah.
Started, 10 years old.
Who got you involved with playing AFL in the first place?
Majak Dor,
Yeah.
my man. Shout out to Majak Dor, man.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah. He opened that door, man. He paved that way for a lot of people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What position were you when you were playing football?
What position do I play right now? I
Yeah.
play midfield.
Midfield.
Yeah.
The thing I liked about football was when I was growing up, Richmond Tigers the players used to come down to Richmond and support us. So that's when I was like, man, there's so much support and love for us.
Exactly right.
Did you have something like that when you were growing
That's
up?
what I mean. Yeah, I used to have North Melbourne. The North Melbourne team come down to my school and support us and teach us the basics of football.
Yeah.
And that's when Majak Dor used to come down to my school and he used to teach us. And me and him had a very good connection. So I knew his family already prior to football. So then when he started coming to our school, it was just like wow. To me it was like that's like big cuz coming to see me, and we used to have little laughs, have little jokes, and play around with each other. But it was good. It was just like that right there was like this is what I want to do. I want to be just like him.
Let's talk about sports and how important is sports for young people and for people that might be lost right now. Talk about that and how was that for you when you were lost, and how did sports play a massive role for you?
Sport plays a massive role. Like you have a different set of friends. It's a different group of people. Different peer group. So people need to understand that like. Sometimes, your peer group is not the right peer group. The peer group that you have right now is not the right peer group, And it's hard for you to step back away from that peer group, But if you have sport, and if you have a routine, you got training twice a week, you got a game on the weekend, That's three days out of the 4 that you're away from your peer group and you just want to rest and relax and you're with other people. And then you build a connection with your club, with the people in your team, So then you start to make plans outside of footy, And these are the right people you want to be around with, Not all. I'm not saying everyone in your football club or everyone in your football team is an angel, but it's a good. If they're all playing football and they're all doing the right thing, that's where you want to be. That's the right people you should be around, Yeah, like for me, that played a big part for me, honestly. Like at the start, I had that and I didn't have no troubles, And then once I took a step back and I drifted away at school and I drifted away from that peer group, I started to get in trouble. I found a different set of belonging, a different peer group, and it wasn't the right one.
For many people, sports, stuff like that could be considered as culture, community, and family. When you were in that, how did you describe that connection, and what are some of the values and lessons and things you learned when you were in that community, family, or culture?
People care about you. That was one thing about that stood out for me. People cared about you, and like sometimes as a young kid, what you just need someone to care about you, to understand you, and to support you. And that's what I had when I was at my football club, especially as a young kid. As a young kid, you don't really know what's going on too much, But like when you have your coach picking you up from your house, taking you to your games, buying you hot dogs, dim sims, and things like that, As a kid, it's nothing big, but like as you grow up, you realize he really cared about me. He treated me like his own kid. And then he would take me back home, Other parents would be cheering for you, like it's hard, and especially in an African household when you have multiple other siblings, your parents can't make it, It's not like they don't want to, it's just that they can't, because they got other responsibilities. So when you have other parents you know, and you got your whole local community supporting you and cheering for you, it does play a big role, you know. You don't. These are the things you don't really understand at the time, but as you grow up, you realize like it plays a big part, you know. It does play a big part, and like now I look back at it, I'm very grateful that I had a wonderful club, you know, wonderful people around me, you know, and that's a big reason why I came back to playing football.
I think that's very important that you mentioned that. When you look back at your career, when you were first starting playing AFL, what was something so much that kept you coming back? I know you talked a little bit about how people cared for you, but what else kept you coming back?
The love of the game. I love the game, you know. The people are like you said, the people around me, my teammates, you know. It was like a boys' club, you know what I'm saying? Like it was something that you could come back and be like, yes, like I'll be waiting all week, you know. I'll go to school, do what I have to do, but then training's here. I'm like, yep, I'm at training. I kick back with the boys and chill, have a laugh and things like that, you know. Like everyone's having, you know, everyone's taking the piss and everyone's just, you know, doing whatever they want to do and just. But you're all here for one reason, you know. You're all here because you love footy. You guys want to win a championship together. You guys want to win a premiership together. You guys want to be together. You guys want to, you know, you guys got each other's back, and it's like it's a foundation. It's an unbelievable foundation that you guys need as a young kid, you know.
You know, to the parents out there from our background who might be on the fence about whether they should put their kids into sports and they're not sure about the whole culture of sports and what that culture means, what advice would you give them for a parent out there that's thinking about it? And why is it so important for them to actually get their kids involved in sports?
For a parent, you want to keep your kids as busy as possible in the right way. So if you don't, and this is why I say get behind, you know, putting your kids in sport, some type of sport, you know, and get behind it too. Like don't just put them in sport and leave them there. Get behind it, you know. Take them to their games, take them to the training, things like that, and come support them, watch them, you know, because you rather have your kid in a team, you know, with the right people around, than have your kid on the street, you know. And like, you know, once you have your kids in the street, it's very hard to get them out of it, you know.
Talk about, you know, what that might lead to for parents that don't do that, for parents that don't end up putting their kids into sports and don't end up entertaining their kids enough and keeping them entertained. What leads to that, and what has happened for your self-experience that you would like to share?
You lose a certain connection with your kid, you know. You don't know what they're doing, all right? If you're not there supporting your kid, or you're not there knowing where your kid is at, you know, because you know what, Tuesday, Thursday, they're at training. All right, sweet, they're not playing sport. Tuesday, Thursday, you don't know where they are. They're going to be on the street. You don't know who they're with, you know. You don't know what they're doing. And that's why it's very important. You got to understand that all you got to do is it's just the small things, you know, knowing where they are, you know, having that connection with them, you know, understanding what they're going through, small things like that. So if you're not on top of any of them things, you know, it's going to be very hard. Like for me, that's what happened. Like my parents, you know, it was very hard for my parents to come down to my games and come down to you know, support me, take me to training, things like that. And eventually, over time, you know, you don't have that, you know, parents pushing you and telling you, yeah, keep going, you got it, you know, you're close, you're nearly there, you know, you're doing good, keep it up. When you don't have that, it's easy to fall back. You know, it's easy to be like, this is too hard. Oh, I'm tired of it. Or like, you know, I'd rather go do something else, you know? That sound in your head when you know, when you need that extra lift, that extra push to tell you keep on going, when you don't have that, it's like, all right, sweet, you know? It's gonna play in your head. You go do whatever you want to do, you know? It's easy for peer pressure to come, you know, that's when peer pressure steps in, and it's easy for you to step away and go into the streets and go make trouble and go do this. It's the easy option, you know, especially when no support and you got kids in the streets that are supporting you, you know, that's just, it's you're not gonna win, you know, you're gonna lose your kids to the environment, the streets and all that, you know.
How did you feel when that happened, when you weren't getting the love and the support that you needed, when those times were rough, and what did that lead you to?
Honestly, it led me to finding that elsewhere, and I was finding love and support elsewhere. I found it in the streets, you know. Don't get me wrong, my parents always loved me, you know, and supported me in other ways, you know. But like when it came to sport, and for me in African household, sports is not. Your parents would rather you go focus on school, go focus on education, things like that, you know. But they don't understand like sport does play a big part, you know. Most kids love sport more than education, you know. But like you can balance it. There's ways you can balance it. The ways you can look at it and say, oh look, you know, if you do good at school, you know, sport, I'm here for you. I can support you. I can do things, but you got to also look at, you know, there's a balance. There's a balance in everything you do. For me, like that's how I took that turn, you know, because I was looking for love and support elsewhere, and I found it, you know, in the streets, you know.
Talking about that and talking about having to go look elsewhere, what would you like to talk about And what was that experience like for you that you would like to share?
It was hard, it was hard. Look, at that time as a kid, now that I look back at it, it was hard. But at the time, I just thought that, this is, the right people I should be around. This is the people that love me, this is the people that support me, people that got my back, This is where I should be, this is where I belong. But really, I look back at it now, it's not, honestly. These people don't care about you. These people, don't care about your future. It's every man for themselves, At the end of the day, these guys, they're all in it for themselves. Everyone's in it for themselves. Everyone doesn't care about, what happens to you. If you go to jail, if you get put away, if you die, whatever. No one really cares about you. It's the only people that are going to be there for you is your parents. It's your family. People that your immediate family. They're going to be there for you. They're going to be supporting you. They're going to be back here. But when things get tough, no one's going to really be there for you. That's what you have to understand. Yeah.
What were some of the symptoms that you've picked up but you missed when you were younger that you could help young people now who are in that situation to look for certain things that shows them that this is not the right path and that the people around them are not really there for them?
It's all different things, like peer group, it comes down to peer group, it comes down to your environment, What are you doing? Where you at? What time you meeting people, Because most trouble happen after hours anyway, So when you're out and about at 12 a.m. at night onwards, like as a young kid should not be out at that time, They should not be out in the street on foot, walking around in the city or walking around in the suburbs at that time. So it comes down to a lot of things, to be honest, yeah. But like for me, it was like, yeah, wrong place at the wrong time at certain times, and my peer group and, like the right people around me, having the right people around me. So that was for me, I would tell young kids, just watch who you're with and watch where you are at certain times.
Where did that lead you?
It led me into, the wrong path, I started getting into trouble with the law, like my family started going through, I started traumatizing my family through that, started traumatizing, other people, and it was just like, it wasn't the life that I wanted, it wasn't the life that, a young kid should be going through at that time. A young kid should be having fun, enjoying life, playing sports, being with his family and being around the right people and just enjoying life. But I wasn't, you can't do that when you're in that environment.
I think for young people, the idea of consequences doesn't really exist. They don't really think about the consequences of their actions and how this might affect other people, including themselves and their families. What were the consequences of your actions that you could share with the young people if they continue down this path?
Incarceration. You can get put away for a very long time. You could be away from the people that love you and people that care about you, And honestly, you don't understand how bad it is until you're in that situation, when you're sitting in that cell, in that situation, thinking about life, thinking about, all the people that you've hurt, whether it's victim, whether it's your family, everyone that you've hurt, you don't understand how bad it is, So really, honestly, it's a selfish act, So people gotta understand that, there's more, it's a ripple effect. You hurt yourself, yeah? I mean, you put yourself in that situation, but you're not the only one that gets hurt. It's the people around you. People that are putting work, time, and effort into you. Your family, your friends, it could be your work colleague, your football club. It could be what else? It could just be the most simplest people. People that you see every day, you say hello to, and then one day you're gone. Because you're incarcerated, because you made that wrong choice. So it's yeah. You just got to really understand. Like you hurt a lot of people by being in that certain situation.
Can you tell me a little bit about what was going through your mind, how you were feeling, and what was your story to yourself when you were in that situation?
Being incarcerated is look, for some it's different for a lot of people, Some people are mentally strong, some people are not mentally strong, So depending on who you are, but regardless, it's not a good place to be. Whether you're mentally strong or you're not strong, But yeah, look, it's not a place that you want to be, You miss out on a lot of things. For me, my experience was very hard, honestly. Like it was just being away from my family, Like I'm a mama's boy, I love my mom to death, I'll do anything for her. But like to be away from her and to see her in certain situations where, she would come and see me and visit me and she'd be, tearing up or, knowing that she has to leave, this prison without me, multiple times. So that's hard, hard for a mother, And like, she would have sleepless nights and, she'd stay up and, she would expect me to, call her every day. Certain things like that, like, it's just a small thing. Like, you don't want your mum, going through that type of stress, So if you love your mum or you love your parents, man, don't make that mistake, man. Think about them before you take that choice,
2 years have gone past. You've done a lot of work on yourself, mentally, physically, and you are now doing a lot of things to try to help young people and change their lives.
Yeah.
What was the turning point? What made you say this is enough? And why are you still so solid right now?
The turning point was my family. Like, I put my family through too much already, And as a young man that I am today, I've taken the steps, the precautions, to get to where I am. I've done the hard yards. I just had some time I had a lot of time to myself to reflect, when no one was around me, in my cell, thinking about, my life, thinking about what I want to do, thinking about this is not the path I want. So I already had a lot of time to reflect and really think back and understand that there's more to life than, this running around and the life of crime, the life of being a plastic gangster, So I want to provide for my family. I want to be the man of the house. I want to be, the man that everyone comes and comes to when they need something, You want to be someone that people can rely on you, People care about, understand you, So that was for me. It was a lot of things that made me, they all played a part of me turning, really understanding and turning my point.
For people that are on the way out now and they're thinking about changing their life around, they struggle with the fear of being hated or not finding support once they get out. How was your experience, and did you feel the support and love once you got out?
Of course, like, everyone wants to see you do good, yeah? But everyone also doesn't want to hear the same song playing over and over and over again, Because you've probably said to everyone multiple times that, for me, I've said multiple times that I wanted to change, But like, this one was the one, and when I got it was a bit hard, it was rocky, it wasn't easy, Not many people believed in me, But like, that didn't stop me, Like, that added more fuel to the fire, And I'm just like, you know what? They don't believe in me, you know what? I'm gonna prove everyone wrong, And now look at me now, Like, I'm nearly 2 years, down the track, and like, I've built a good foundation, People are backing me, people are supporting me, Everyone wants to know what I'm doing, everyone wants help, people come to me for advice, I work with a lot of young people, so young people come to me for advice, and like, even my own friends, family, like, it's what you want, You're that person that people can rely on, and it's what I always wanted, I wanted people to rely on me and people to understand that I can help you, I'm not just that kid that used to make trouble. I'm that kid that I can help you. I've changed my life, so I can help people change their life too. When I first got out, one thing I wanted to do was really play footy, and it was a tough time. It was really, really tough time for me, because I walk around with 2 ankle bracelets, and like, not many clubs would accept a young man that wears ankle bracelets, So I went to a few teams, and they see my ankle bracelets, and then I had contracts ready to go, to sign, but then they realized that I was incarcerated, and they seen that I have ankle bracelets, and told me that they can't pursue with the contract, because I was wearing ankle bracelets, and that was hard for me, hard. One thing I do love is footy, and for me to hear that, it was like, like, if they're not gonna do it, what other team is gonna, accept me? So I didn't give up. I kept pushing. I kept looking, and I kept getting knocked back. Then I found the club, North Footscray, which I'm very grateful for. They accepted me. They understood my situation. They gave me opportunity, and they gave me opportunity. I played for them. That year, my first year back playing footy, and we won the premiership, and that shows you, like, no matter how dark and how tough times get, you just got to keep pushing, and like, there's always light in the tunnel. Just never give up. So yeah, that was for me. That was my fuel to the fire. Like, if I can do this, and I can do it. Doesn't matter how long it takes, but as long as if you can keep going and keep pushing it and be just as hard on yourself, you can go wherever you want to go. The sky's the limit.
What are you looking forward to now as you move forward with your life?
for me, I just take it, I take it day by day, I count my blessings, I'm very grateful. Just want to take it easy, help, do the right thing, help young people, make people feel comfortable that they come up. People that have been in the same path as me, but are not comfortable or don't have a stronger foundation to come out and tell their story, or come out and even use their story to help another person change theirs, So it's all a work in progress, but, I just want people to feel comfortable and to understand that, they're not alone. And, I've been in that situation where it's been hard, it's been tough, but there's always light at the end of the tunnel.
What keeps you happy? What keeps you motivated? What keeps you straight now?
Knowing that, I don't have to look, over my shoulder, knowing that the fact that I work, I can spend, real money with not worrying about police coming after me or whatever, and just, knowing that I got money and I can spend money on my family, my mum, my siblings, whoever, I got my own money and I don't have to worry about nothing come back to me. So just to be a free man, not intentionally, like not really free as in like getting my freedom, but be a free man, not worrying about nothing coming back to me. That's the difference, that's what makes me keep on going, yeah.